Welcome everybody, welcome back into another episode in our series, and today we have with us Nathan Price. Nathan,
hello.
Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Great. I'm good. So Nathan is a student representative here at the union here at UWS. Nathan, would you tell our audience a little bit more about yourself, like what is your role at the university and what services you have for these students?
Yeah, so I'm Nathan. I am the Student Engagement and Representation Coordinator for the Students' Union here.
Yeah.
And that basically means that I'm here to help students if they want to become a class rep, if they want to get involved in any sort of student representation, I can help them with that. I'm also here to help with society. So if you don't know what society is, it's just basically like a group of people with like a common interest or a common identity. So I help them get together and have fun or organize like, I don't know, talks of like entrepreneurs, whatever. And then also I'm just here in general to help a student. So if I can help, I will help.
That's great. Yeah. So how did you get started with this role at the university, Nathan? Just to give you a little idea.
So I graduated September 2022.
Okay.
And then I applied for this job in December 2022, and then I got the job.
You got the job.
Yeah,
wow, that's great.
But my kind of route to it was that my kind of route to it was that I was a class rep when I was a student.
Yes, class representative. That's right.
And then I kind of just spoke a lot about that in my interview, and they liked that, and.
That's right. So I think it's really important, to get involved into these kind of things. Like
Definitely.
You're talking about class representative. Even I was a representative for my class, right? So like any new students who are watching this, right? So why they should really get involved into these kind of roles that are at the university. Let's talk about like specifically, let's start from the class representative.
Yeah. So especially if you're trying to get a job in the UK, basically everyone here has a degree now. Like, it's not really something that stands out anymore.
Yeah.
So especially if you're like an undergraduate, although most people here will be postgrads, but if you're an undergraduate, definitely what makes you stand out is not your degree, it's what you did alongside your degree. So
that's right.
Did you volunteer? And rep classes volunteering. So did you volunteer? Were you in like an extracurricular sports team?
Yeah.
These are the type of things that your interviewer.
Yeah.
They do ask these things as well, because if you just say, I went to uni, I studied for 4 years, I have a degree.
That's boring, right?
So the last 6 people that they just interviewed,
just say the same
they
thing.
all had degrees, they've all studied for free, like we all the same thing. So
that's right.
You have to do something that puts you out there, that kind of builds you up to be like a different sort of prospective candidate for the hiring manager.
Yeah.
With rep specifically, you do build up a lot of key skills.
Yeah.
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
Research. So for example, if you're doing like if you happen to send out like a survey to students, you're gonna have to gather that data and present it back. So you're building skills in research, diplomacy.
Yeah.
You're also building confidence and just having to speak to people who you may feel are higher than you, because you're having to speak with your lecturers, you have to speak with the program leaders.
Right.
You're building up soft skills while you're doing these things.
That's true.
For some people, it's like speaking to someone above them.
It's a fear for them.
It's a big fear. So
yeah, that's right.
These are things you're building up, and then also you're building up problem resolving skills. Because a lot of times, if you're a class rep, you will go with an issue.
Yeah.
And you will tell your lecturer that, and your lecturer will say, okay, so what do you think we should do? And it's not just given, it's also you have to use your brain and help them figure out what could potentially work.
That's right.
And it's also good for like learning the value of learning to accept when things can't be changed.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes in life, we can't. Things happen. We can't always control it, and sometimes the university will say to you as a rep, "No, we can't do anything about that."
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of how you handle that and how you're able to relay that message in a way that other students can also accept.
Yeah.
So you do end up developing like a lot of soft skills if you become a rep, and again, it's all about. Once again, how do you describe those soft skills that you built up
in your interviews?
In your interviews.
That's right.
If you just say, I was a class rep and I had a degree and I got my degree.
That doesn't make any
difference.
Doesn't make
sense. Like, what did you do with it? Like, how...
What difference you made?
What difference did you make? What skills did you learn?
Right.
The STAR method. Like, what did you do in a specific scenario that shows that you're a key fit for this role.
This role, yeah.
Because a lot of times it's these sort of things that like you're like, oh my god, I have no experience in any sort of job. I had no experience. My job before this, I had just worked in a restaurant.
Wow.
So I had to really use the soft skills I built up doing like my class rep role to really show myself as much as I could between that and a restaurant. Right. Is all I could do, because they didn't care about my degree, because all the candidates had degrees. They didn't really.
Yeah, that's true.
It was, they want you need to have a degree.
Yeah, you need to have it, but then those skills around that is far important.
What more did you have from the degree, basically?
That's
and it was like, okay, the last person had a degree as well, and I was like, suddenly you have to really go through, and
that's really good. And one thing, I really like that you was mentioning being a student representative. It really gives you the opportunity to speak to the people who are in, above you in the, the order. And because when you are sitting in front of an interviewer, and you have already had that confidence speaking to people who are above you. Yeah. So that confidence actually carries forward in your interviews, right? Yeah. Because otherwise, if you are just straightforward getting into interviews and you never had that ability, like talking to people, you could really feel very much afraid in that situation, right? Yeah. But being into the student roles, it really helps you to build that communication and confidence at the same time, right? That's really good. And I also believe that, when you become a student representative, like from my experience, you came to know people, and that really helps you to also build network, right? Because when you represent your class, it's not just you are representing, there are other people who also see you, like how you're representing, right? And that really helps you to build your professional network, right? Which will be really helpful for you, anyone moving forward into their career roles, right? Like it helped you, right? You started as a class representative and you applied for that, and that experience you were able to translate that how it can be beneficial for this job, and that's how you were able to grab it, all right? Exactly. And I think that's what most students who come here need to learn, right? Whatever jobs you're doing apart from that, really get a lot of volunteering experience, right? Let's talk about that. I know I volunteered at one of the events with the union, right? So do we have any other volunteer things coming in the near future?
Right now, we're trying to organize things for the new students coming in September. Okay, all right. So whatever I do with that, it would be, I'd need volunteers for that. Definitely, I'm going to need volunteers to pack bags.
Obviously for that,
definitely for that. But in terms of like on the days when I have to do activities, it'll be good to have volunteers. Right. So we'll probably be doing like a sip and paint again. Oh, yeah. And I need volunteers for that. We'll probably be doing a party, but in another university. Oh, okay. So I'm waiting to hear back from them, and then they will need volunteers to help them set up on the day. So that's good. And then some of you have already come to me about volunteering, and they're just waiting for me to get back to them. But yeah, that's right. There will be some opportunities
coming soon, right? Yeah. So just wait for your chance, okay?
Yeah. Or become a rep.
Yeah, become a rep.
Or a society leader. Yeah, great. That also counts as volunteering.
So if anybody wants to become a student representative, like whom they should get in touch with?
So if you're a student representative, get in contact with your module coordinator. Okay. And then they will let you know if there is a need for one in the course. Right. Or whatever process they want to do for it, because each course has a different process of how they want to make one happen. But normally it's a voting based system, so maybe 4 of you want to do it. Right. Maybe only 2 of you will get it, and it will be based off of like the class votes, or like maybe you give like a speech to your class of why they should vote for you.
That's correct.
And then you get the role, and then, or if it's just you, then you just get the role automatically. That's right. If no one else wants it, you just get it, which,
that's right.
Pros and cons.
That's right.
And then if you want to be involved in society, just come and have a chat with me.
Yeah. Now let's talk about more about societies, right? Because I know there are a lot of societies at the union, right? So like you have already mentioned in your introduction, like what basically society is, right? If you can just expand upon that idea, like what are union societies that we have? Yeah. And what are the present societies like we have as of now?
Yeah. If you can just share that. Societies again is basically just like a group of like-minded people, or maybe you have a similar identity or similar religion, same religion, come together and basically do whatever you want, really, like within reason. Yeah. So like an example of like the 3 that I set out was, so for like we have like Muslim society, we have Sikh society in Scotland, I think. Yeah. Not here, but if you guys want to set it up, you can. We have, and then in terms of like identity, obviously we've got like African Caribbean society, Nigerian society, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Right. And then, or for example, identity as well could be like LGBT society. Yeah, that's right. So we have those societies. And then what was the other one I mentioned? Oh, interest. So if you've got like a shared interest, so we have like photography society or anime society, dance society. If you've got like a shared interest, you can make a society for that basically. But yeah, they're really nice things to have. On the London campus right now, we have about 8.
That's good.
But a lot of them have gone quiet because a lot of students just graduated.
That's right.
Yeah, so
you're
right now
looking for new people to
we're looking
take
for
over,
new
right?
people to take over. So if you want to take over the societies, come and see me.
That's right.
The societies that we have running in London right now, which are already established, that already have members. I don't know if everyone's graduated, but there are members. Is photography, Indian, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, dancing, acting, alumni society.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think that's it. Yeah, those are the
ones.
Those are the sites we have in London right now.
Yeah.
If you'd like to pick them up again, it would be a great opportunity. So for an example of things that we've done, the Pakistan Society and the Photography Society, they organised a trip together and they went to Scotland.
That's lovely.
You know, they had a nice time down there. We helped them obviously cover some of the costs. The Photography Society, they did a trip to, you know, Harry Potter. He has there's like a studio.
Yeah.
They organised a trip there. They went there. We helped pay for the tickets for that as well. Indian Society, they did like a movie night. Oh, sorry, I forgot Entrepreneur Society.
Oh, yeah.
9 societies. Entrepreneur Society.
That's right.
Entrepreneur Society did a lovely event here for, I think it was Eid.
Yeah, for the Eid they did that. It was a really nice event.
Nice event. Everyone was eating food. So yeah, Dance Society did an event where they had all the students come watch them dance.
Right.
And I think it was for a festival. It was for a Hindu festival. I don't know the name.
Okay.
But the students were all there dancing everyone having fun. And it was like, you know, there was different regions. There was people from like Gujarat, there was people from who were like Punjabi, like different regions showing their different dances. So that was very nice to see as well. If that's something that interests you guys, come and have a chat with me. If you have your own idea for society, start a new one. Like I know there are a lot of students here who have their own interests. So you might have not heard what I said in terms of that interests you. Yeah. Start your own one.
That's correct. And I think it's really good to, you know, because when you start your own society, coming back to the same point that you made about the volunteer experience, that also adds on, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because when you are sitting in front of the interviewer and then you tell them that I started in a society or we started in a society, and then you can tell them what was your experience, you know, starting a society, how did you manage, what activities you have done, what did you learn from those experiences. So if you look at the other picture of the society, it's not just the fun you're having, but it's also so many deep skills that you're developing, you know, being in the process.
Right? I feel like if you went to uni and you just did society and rep and like you were a leader, you leave with a lot of skills. Right. Especially with societies, you have to do leadership. Yeah. And if we're going to go into the whole thing, you're doing leadership, you're doing social media management, so a little bit of marketing. That's right. You're doing what's it called? If you're having to manage the money of like how you're earning money, you have to do account management. Yeah. I make it sound really hard. It's not hard, but you know, these are things that you can develop and you can kind of embellish on a little bit. Like, you know, if you were the president of your society for money, you're like, I had to manage the accounts, I had to organize the fundraising, I had to figure out ways for us to you know, double the amount we had. Right. Because we do give you some money, but it's not that much, but we do give you money. Yeah, but there is a contribution there, but then how can you fundraise? How can you get a donor? That's also skills, right? These are really important skills, right? So, for example, in Scotland, the Chinese Society, they are sponsored by their local consulate. Oh, that's good. So the government literally sponsors their society. That's a skill, you know. Just approaching them and getting that agreement, right? That's really something you need to think about, right? So like they were able to get the government basically of China to. That's a big win for them. To sponsor them. So they get money from the government. So you know, different societies could do that. If you're like a Muslim society, you could probably get like a local mosque to like help sponsor you if you were doing like a fundraiser or something like that. So you do develop a lot of skills you can develop and go alongside your masters. And that too having so much fun, right? Exactly. It's not like that you are just into a course, you have to study a lot. It's like you are into a society and it's more of like being practically present there, doing things, having fun with your friends, and really developing those key skills. Because it's really important. I think as well. I I think maybe because on our campus we've got a lot of events already from the lovely Teg.
That's correct.
So sometimes I think the students are like, oh my gosh, I can't do it, or I don't think I can do it. But in the UK, societies are a big thing, and like it's not uncommon for you to be able to like plan your own event. And I think it's just getting out of that hurdle of why would I do it if it's already happening for me, if someone else is doing it.
That's correct. That sometimes can get in the way.
That can get in the way because sometimes it can be. Sometimes one of the most satisfying things as well is having like achieved something yourself and seeing it go through.
That's right.
I'm sure you feel that way with your podcast, how successful it's going.
Yeah.
Students who have good events and or good like things like consistently. Yeah. You do feel good.
That's right.
And if you leave as well, you're leaving a legacy. So although the students are responding to me right now, they have left a legacy here of they've left, they graduated. I'm still talking about the amazing stuff that they did.
Stuff they did. Yeah, that's right.
You know, the campus manager, she knows about these societies, the work that they've done. So you do leave a legacy. Yeah,
that's true.
You do feel satisfied.
Yeah, and you learn so much in the process, right?
Exactly.
And that's really true. And that's also a good point. You know, when you plan, when you have an idea to do something and you execute that idea, that really motivates you so much. You know, that gives you a lot of confidence, that gives you a lot of belief that you can actually do things, and that's just set up the foundation for you to go ahead in your career and do big things. Yeah, right. That's good. So if anybody wants to start a society, like what they need to do, like what is the process for that?
Society, all you need is 3 members. So one of them is including you.
All right.
And you just need like an idea of like what you want your society to be.
Okay.
You just fill out the form on our website, and then we just go from there. And then you and your members, the 3 members, would complete training with me.
Yep.
It's only about like an hour long. It's not very long at all. And I just kind of run through like how you get affiliated with us.
Right.
How you'll be able to access funding, what the union are, who we are, like just kind of basic stuff.
Basic stuff, yeah.
And then off you go.
That's good.
You're ready to go. It's not hard.
It's not hard.
It's not
you
hard.
You just have to have an idea and then just do that, right?
And I think some societies the ones who have been the most successful have been the ones who've just done it. Like
that's right.
They're like, okay,
they're just straight into it, right?
They just jump in it. So I think sometimes if you're like, oh, maybe I'll do it. Maybe
that's right.
You're not gonna do it.
That's right. If you're trying to figure out everything before you do it, then that's the time when you actually end up not doing it, right?
Because a lot of times, if you have ideas and you want to run them by me, we will discuss that during the training. Like I'm going to ask you in the training, what is your ideas? Like what any events that you have planned for this year? And obviously with our campus in London, it's a bit more limited in terms of like space wise, but which is one thing I did find last year. People wanted to do parties, and obviously there's nowhere to do a party here. Like in Scotland, we have a bar.
Scotland campuses.
Yeah, here we don't have a bar.
Yeah.
But there are ways around it. It's just about thinking outside of the box sometimes. Yeah. Like one thing that I think sometimes when it got a bit much, they're like, no, we're not doing anything. It's too much work. But for example, down the road, there's a community centre. Right. There's a new cafe called Alamari, which he has said that he would love to host society events.
That's good.
So there are spaces for you guys to do things. It's just sometimes thinking about outside of the box. Yeah. And again, when you think outside the box, these are the key things that you would include in your CV when you're having to apply for jobs of, what was the problem? There was no space. Yep. I had to do an event.
How did you manage that?
How did I manage that? I went and outsourced spaces outside of my campus.
Right. And how did you, marketed it?
How did I market it? How did I get like a fixed fee? Like these are things that you're building up actual skills.
Yeah, that's right. I remember, like the last time when we did an event, like the Illumini event that we did, we involved everybody, right? We spoke to you, me and Tyson, and then students showed up, right? Yeah. So that was an experience, right? So
that was very successful. I wasn't even on campus that day, and I was hearing from people this event so well. Yeah. So like the staff group chats of staff, they were saying, "Wow, this is an amazing event."
Yeah. So
and I was in Scotland, guys, and I was Scotland. And I was hearing about how amazing the event was. Yeah, so, right. And that was a student-led event. And what I have noticed as well is if you look at in this campus specifically, if you look at the student-led events and you look at the ones that the university have done. There's a big difference. They get big turnout. Yeah. It's always successful. Everyone's always surprised, like, wow, why is it so amazing? But really, it will be amazing because you guys know what you want.
That's correct.
I can never put on an event for a student. Well, I could, but like, to the point where like I know exactly what you want to see in an event. Right. It will always be the best coming from you. And I think even the university have noticed that because their events are just not as good.
All right. So if you have an idea, you could be the
Go
next
for
one.
it, yeah.
Go
Like,
for it, right?
go for it. Even
don't just wait.
Yeah, like I know. Obviously, we can sponsor you, so
Yep.
and so can the university to an extent. So the
That's right. That's right.
Entrepreneurship Society
Yep.
for their Eid event. The university, I didn't pay for that. The university paid for
University.
that one. Yeah.
That's right.
And I know they helped you guys a little bit. Or...
Yeah, they did. It was a good, share from them, and it was a good, successful event. Even
Exactly.
That one,
So it's also a thing of like you can build, I guess, good relationships as well with people
That's true.
in the
That's
university.
a plus point, right?
If I'm not that important to you guys, then
you are.
you can.
You are, Nathan.
You would be building relationships up with like the campus manager because you're asking her to like assist.
That's correct.
You'd be building relationships up with like the office, like you're building up
You're
links,
building key relationships, right?
which can
you
never
never know how
you never know when you will need it.
when you will need them, right?
I know for me at least, if a student's like a society leader and I've worked with them with their class rep and they ask me for a reference, I will write you a reference.
You'll happily do that, right?
I'll happily do that. If I've never seen you do anything and you told me I'm a society leader but you've done nothing, I'm not gonna give you a reference.
That's true.
But if I've seen you've been doing work consistently or like at least even if you've done like one great event and then you're like that was it, but it was one great, I will still write you an amazing reference.
That's correct. And
it's
those things really matter.
They do.
Because saying one thing that I have done it is not good enough, but you have someone who's backing that for you in form of referrals. That's really makes it more even powerful, right?
Like even when I had left, when I had graduated, my reference was my program leader. She was my reference. She gave me a lovely reference.
Yeah.
I just messaged her.
And that's such a big thing, right?
I just messaged her on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, would you mind giving me a reference? She gave me a lovely reference.
That's so good. That's so good. So guys, if you have any idea to start a society, just straight away do that. Don't wait, because your idea will never be perfect, right? But you will make it perfect while working on that, right? Now, moving forward, Nathan, what are the other things that we have for students here at the union? Like something, I know there is something, the coffee stuff, so if you just want to talk about that.
Yeah, so the union, we do provide free teas and coffees every Tuesday to Thursday from 11:30 to 4:30. So that's for you guys. It's free. Obviously, guys, please keep the area clean.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing stresses me out more than the area getting messy because then the university get angry at me and I'm like, oh.
And also then it's a lot of work at your behalf, right?
It's more work on my behalf, and as you've heard, I already have basically 3 jobs. So then I've got a 4th job of being a cleaner. It's a bit much. And then the university, they were telling me, we can't do it because it's too messy. I'm like, no. The students, they love it, you guys do love it.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
If you love it, look after it.
Look after it.
If you love something, you look after it.
Look after it.
So look after the area. So that's obviously what we have as well. We've also, in terms of like things for the year planning ahead, nothing on my part, guys. I can't lie to you. Because I'm really trying to focus on giving the students the authority to do their things.
Right.
And also, my budget mostly is student societies. So like I don't really have like a Nathan London budget. My budget is societies. So I'm not allowed to like dip into that and like do anything I want to.
That you want to do, right?
So it's limited to it. But for example, if there's like an event that you'd like to see again, so for example the tea and coffee thing. Yeah. Not tea and coffee, sorry.
Sip and paint.
Yeah. You can let us know because obviously the society leaders. Yeah. Not the society leaders. I'm going crazy now. The student presidents, they have their own budgets. They do have their own budget. So if you want to request them to come down, they have to come down.
Yeah,
they have to come down. And obviously, because they're based in the Scottish campuses, if you guys request them to come down,
that's right.
At least one of them will come down to like do an event. It's all about the interest. So a lot of times, the people in Scotland, they don't come down as much because they're not sure if there's interest here for them to come down.
Yeah.
Use your voice, guys. By the union, we've got photos of all of our student presidents with their email. You can contact them. You can tell them. 10 of us would like you to come down. Please do this.
That's right.
Or like the other one, our student president of our vice president of student development. Yeah. He came down to do a talk on life after university.
Yeah, that's right.
They can come and do these things for you guys as well. And obviously, I support them when they do those things. So if you guys have any ideas, we want your student president to come down. It's really important that you do message them. Yeah. And it's really important also because it could also help any case that were to be made that we need a London officer. So a lot of times students say they would like an officer, but they don't actually ask the current officers to come and see them.
Right.
So when we're trying to like do research or like build a case of like, oh, why they need them here, we can't build anything because like there's no evidence of students saying I want someone to come down. It's just people word of mouth saying, oh, why is there no one here? But no one like actually
doing
request it, so we can like build like a backlog of today I had like this month I had 20 students asking me for why
not somebody
why don't I have a London officer. So if that's something that sounds really important to you, that you really want a London officer to like advocate for you specifically,
then you should do that the way Nathan suggested.
Start doing that,
right?
emailing me, emailing the officers themselves, ask them to come down,
that's
so we can kind of build up a case of like.
That's right, because universities need to see something. Right? It's not just verbally. If you tell Nathan, that's just verbal.
That's just me.
It has to be an email. Just email Nathan.
Like my role did not exist prior. I think they had to like build up like a lot of student data of saying there is no union in London. This office was here. But there was just no one here. And then obviously it was the data from the students, it was the student officers
that really leads to this role,
who pushed for me to have a job, basically.
That's right.
So stuff like that, data really does matter, guys.
That does.
Data, especially with the university.
It does matter.
If you want to get anything done in the university,
it has to be backed up by data.
Data, numbers.
That's right.
That's what they like to see. Numbers.
Yeah. The more numbers there are, the more they will be ready to take some action on that. Right.
100%.
That's really right.
And I didn't realize that I didn't really go over, not to do with me, but obviously our student officers. So I think probably important to go over that. So. There are 4 student officers which are elected by you guys.
That's correct.
Some students watching this would have missed the election because it started in May. But
it started in May, yeah.
You can vote next year for the next ones, but then they won't be working for you either because you'll be gone by the time they start.
Yeah, that's right.
But you will still have a voice at some point.
That's right.
But yeah, the current officers, they were voted in by the students of all the campuses. So there are 5 campuses. And again, put that in perspective, guys. There are 5 campuses and there are only 13 members of staff in the union for 5 campuses.
So they need more, but it can only happen if there is data.
Right? Data. There's only 13 of us.
Yeah.
The money that we have has to go for all of our campuses.
And then.
So sometimes, guys, when you're telling to me, Nathan, where's the money? Just
remember what you said right now.
Just remember what I said right now. The society budget is not. My society budget is not just London.
It's not just London. It's all the 5 campuses.
And obviously they've got more societies as well. So
it depends upon where there are more things happening, where there are more people involved, right? And that's how it just gets distributed.
And the quicker you do things, because for example, our society, like our budget in general, it gets reset in August. So that's when we have the most money. So students who come to do events in August, September, they're most likely going to be told, sure.
The right time.
Sure. When you come in like December, January...
It's too late.
It's not too late, but now it's like, now we're like, this needs to last us for 6 months for the 5 of the campuses.
Then you need to do the modes of calculation.
We do more calculations, we're a bit more...
Maybe now.
I can give you half, I can give you a quarter, like... That's when you get to that point. But when you come August, if you want to do nice events, guys, or you want to do something, the best time to come to me
is
August.
It's now. Right?
Yeah, basically.
If you want to make any big event happen, right, in the next few months,
now.
It's right now, right here.
It's basically now. So our student officers that we have, they're for the 4 campuses. They are based in Scotland. But they are working for all of you. The only reason they can't be based here is because they have to go to a lot of meetings of like the Vice Chancellor.
Right.
They have to go to court and
and the majority of the core staff
is there and they're not online. It's like a whole policy thing from the university. So that's why if you were to become a student officer, which you can, you would have to move to Scotland. So last year we had 2 London students who became officers, which was
that's good.
Really good. This year no one won from London. Guys,
please,
I'm side-eyeing all of you guys.
Please make sure that next year we'll have you from here, right?
Come on, guys. Like, you've embarrassed me a little bit. I came in my first year in the job. 2 students from my campus were officers.
But I participated, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. But I was there, right?
Yeah, you participated. But guys, next year,
let's make it happen.
At least one of you. Come on.
At least one of you.
At least one, because I do think it's
to be from London.
Yes, I think it's very important for the students as well.
Yep.
That even though like the officer's not here, they do know that, oh, that officer,
that person is from the London
she's from
campus.
this campus. Like, she
That
understands.
really gives you the more confidence, speak
Yeah.
to the person when you know
Exactly.
the person has been from London campus. All of a sudden, you feel that okay, the person will
They understand what I'm
They will
talking about.
understand from where I'm coming from, right?
Exactly.
That's
So, like,
great.
obviously, the main president was a London student.
Yeah.
So I feel
She
like
was a student, right?
that was very important for students, and she did come down quite a lot. People saw
Yeah, she
her
did. She
quite
did.
regularly, like every month, or
Yeah.
So it's really important. But just to break down what the roles are, there's the president role, which you're kind of the head of the union.
Yeah.
You oversee like a lot of things, and you kind of get involved in everyone else's sort of areas, but like you're the president basically.
Right.
And they go to meetings of like vice chancellor James Miller.
No,
You go to meetings of these people. You go to government meetings with the school court.
It's a really big thing, right?
It's a big thing. Like, you've actually got a voice. You kind of anything that the union wants to push for.
Yeah.
We do not push for.
Yeah.
We push for through our student officers.
Student officer.
Because I have no power. I have no power. Before anyone thinks I have power,
They have.
I have no power. Your officers have power.
Officers are.
Yeah, so if there's like a wide thing that you want to change, I can't do anything. Your officers can do something.
Officers can, right.
So they've
That's
actually
right.
got power. So that's the president. Then you've got your vice president of student development. So they're kind of basically, they work a lot of societies.
All right.
So you'll see them in society council. Oh, I forgot, if you're a society, there's like society council as well, where once again you can build up your professional links and other
That's right.
students, and it will be students from Scotland as well. So
Right.
you're not just building up professional links with students here,
But it's in Scotland.
Scotland as well. So which is obviously, you never know when you need it.
Yep.
But yeah, the student president vice development, he's very much involved in societies, student opportunities. So like for example, he did like life after work, life after university. Talks. He
Life after work. You remind me about a game.
yeah. He does talks. I think it was some TED thing.
There was something like that. I think something TED Talks or something.
Some TED Talks. Yeah. So like a lot of basically they're very much focused on like student opportunities. When you're here, when you're leaving, that's kind of like their remit of like.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was a really good event they did. Like life after university. That
exactly.
was a really good one.
And that was a good one. So, and he also organized the sip and paint. So they kind of they have a budget to do events, like random ones.
All right.
Then there is student vice president of education. Very important role.
Yeah.
That one's always busy. And they're basically, it kind of goes with our system of, so like obviously development is with societies, education, she kind of sits alongside with the reps, but also with advice workers. So she would basically, or he, but right now it's he. Yeah. He would basically be the person who, if you've gone to your rep and then your rep had to go above to someone else, like past the course, would be to like vice president of education. And again, that role sits on courts and all these complicated university structures. I don't even get them myself, guys, but that one's also a very important role.
That's right.
Very, very busy role. And then there's vice president of wellbeing, so they would work alongside our advice workers in this sort of sense, but well-being they are all to do with like student wellbeing. How can they improve that for you guys? What are the things on campus that they can improve? So in the Scottish campus, they do, we can't do that here, but in Scottish campuses, they do, well, maybe we could, if you guys want us to do that, watch this space, or contact your VP of Wellbeing and say you want this. In the Scottish campuses, they do Pause Against Stress, where they basically bring in like a big group of dogs, and they're basically meant to be like support dogs who like emotionally support you. And you can you're basically just in a room, there are dogs there, and you can sit there and hug dogs for like an hour.
That's a good well-being activity,
and
right?
The students love it.
Now, we are talking about well-being. I just saw this today, and I think that's really something good, right?
The Silver Cloud one, yeah.
If you can just talk a little bit about that, like what's the Silver... I think it's kind of like an online program or something like that, right? It's something like that, I have heard that.
So the Silver Cloud, as far as I know, because it's not actually the union, but we are on it, but it's not us, but we endorse it.
All right.
But the Silver Cloud platform is basically like an online space where you can basically get guidance and tools on like how to like manage your well-being, manage your stress. So look, they've got space from stress, anxiety, depression, positive body image.
So like anybody who is having like, feeling is difficult to get adjust here, so they can just maybe have a look at
Have a look at this.
Right. And what are the other things like if they need anybody needs a well-being support, right?
Yeah.
Whom they can reach out in the university. Or
exactly, So obviously this one would be like before you maybe reached out. So like if you, I would say you would use Silver Cloud if like you know something's wrong.
Okay.
You don't think that you're at the point yet where like you need to speak to someone,
Alright.
maybe
So
specifically.
it's like the initial, like, when you're
This
like
would be
just
like initial,
getting
yeah.
hard time.
So it's like an interactive
Yeah.
activities to make your experience interested in blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it gives you like access to like basically like a course, but
Yeah,
not really.
it's more like a course, right?
Yeah, more like
but
a
if they
course,
need to
like
talk to
self-help,
someone,
exactly.
right?
So that's
then
the
you can-
first step. If you're like, you think you can handle it yourself, maybe you want to like
then go there, right?
very much self-helpy and like
Self-help.
yeah. But then if you're still struggling after that, then you probably want to get in contact with.
Maybe we'll just share that later on.
Here's our
Student
topic, guys.
services. Right.
You probably want to then get in contact with the
The well-being team.
where are they? The well-being team. Yeah, so the well-being team is who you'd want to get in contact with then afterwards.
Right.
Right now, there is no well-being team in London. Apparently, through the grapevine, there will be one soon. But guys, if you think that's important, what have I been reiterating this whole interview? Numbers. Numbers.
If you need a well-being team, guys, then you need to have sent emails, right?
Yes.
That you need a well-being team.
Yes, emails, signed signatures from other students.
Whatever you can do,
Whatever you can do
just do that.
is, when there's a big enough voice in London, things get done.
Things get done.
There was no vending machine, and now there is a vending
It's
machine.
there, Yeah, I know when we came here, the talks were
You wanted
going
it.
on.
I know you asked me.
Now it's there,
Now
right?
it's there.
So-
it took a while, but it's there now.
So, like the voice was raised, so now it's the next student having benefit of that, right?
Exactly.
So if you raise your voice now, maybe by the time you finish your studies, you may have a well-being officer.
Maybe.
If not, it will be beneficial for the
For the
ones
next
who
one,
come, right?
exactly.
So
That could be a legacy. So yeah,
just do your part.
wellbeing team, they are good as well for obviously that. If you're London campus, it'll probably be through teams. So you have to talk to them, which is pretty much normal. But you can talk to them one-to-one. About any matters, no big or how big or no small.
Yeah.
There's also, I don't know if the number's here, but there is a student helpline that's available 24/7.
That's right.
And it's not the wellbeing team, but it's basically like, let's say it's a Saturday, it's a 4 p.m. I'm not gonna answer you. They're not gonna answer you, but there is a student helpline number, so I'll pass it on to you afterwards.
We'll just put it there.
And then you can put it in the description. But that's also good if like you're really distressed. It's the weekend, no one's answering you. Student helpline.
That's when you
24/7.
can reach that one.
Yeah, and then I do know as well. Sometimes as well, which I think is a good thing to also kind of bring up.
Yeah.
Is that I know a lot of the students who are from other countries.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe there isn't a lot of support for like disabilities there.
Right.
A lot of students don't realize that they do have a learning disability. And there's also like shame attached to that.
All right.
But what I will tell you guys is you're in London right now, okay? if you're struggling and you
Then
feel like
seek help,
it's something beyond just like I'm not paying attention, you think like, look, I've been working so hard and I could just never seem to focus in class, or I could never seem to like grasp things. Go see disability services.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Go and just ask for help.
Ask
right?
for help. See what they say. They'll ask you if you want to get tested. The worst that will happen, or the best, I guess, is they'll say there's nothing wrong with you, or you've got no learning disabilities. That's all that can happen, really.
Yeah.
You are here now. Take advantage of stuff that is available to you.
That's right.
When I started university, I was pretty sure I had dyslexia. I was like, I think I have dyslexia, and I was like, I'm just gonna get myself tested. I got myself tested, guys. I had dyslexia. There you go. And I was like, I don't know how it works here, but in my university, once I got tested, I was able to then get extra time for my assignments.
Right.
But again, do not quote me on that. I don't know how it is here. But every uni has a different process.
Yeah,
but
every uni has a
normally,
different
if you
process.
have like a disability or a learning disability, they normally give you like some sort of support.
Yeah,
So if that's extra time, or if there's like a one-to-one tutor, these things are available. So I would say, guys, a big thing to do is if you think,
just take help.
take it. Just ask. Just
Just
ask.
ask. Just ask. Right?
The worst that happens is like, no,
That's right.
Like you.
But I think that's a really good point, not just in this case, right? But in any case, when you are an international student,
Yeah.
you're coming to another country, right? It's really important to develop that habit of just asking, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, you know the union is here, right? If I never come to you and if I never share my problems with you, then how am I going to find the answers, right? So it's really important that not just the union, just keep building the habit of asking.
Yeah, just honestly
Just
ask.
and then you will get your answers.
Because guys, the worst thing I will say to you is no. Like, I'm not gonna shout at you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Exactly.
say you're so stupid. I'm just gonna say
You're not going to put a bullet on their head.
yeah,
right?
like just come and ask a question.
Just come and ask the question, right?
I'm 9 times out of 10, I will know the answer. And if I don't know the answer, I'll know someone
You
who
actually
does.
just let them know, like, if you're not the right concerned person, you will tell them
Yeah.
that this is the department you need to
Need
reach
to go
for
to.
this.
If I'm
Right.
not busy, I'll probably do it for you. If I'm not busy, don't come to me all the time. But if I'm not busy, I'll probably just contact them myself for you.
Yeah.
Like, if I can help you, I will help you. I think it's just really important, guys, that you know, especially international students, that you know that it's a different system here.
That's correct.
There are supports for you.
Yep. And that's
you
really
know,
important to understand.
It's really important to understand. It's also important to understand that I don't know how everyone is back home, but here, for example, you can complain about, let's say, your lecturer or your course. I'm not saying you have to do that, guys. I'm saying if there's an issue, you can complain about these things, and it cannot impact your work.
Yeah.
It will not impact
It
your
will
work.
not impact your work.
I know in some countries, your lecturer is
in
a
some
person.
country, there's a very
Yeah,
bad.
it's a very, if you say something bad about the lecturer, your thing's gonna be
You're
wrong.
gone.
But guys, the thing that you need to remember here in the UK is that your assignments are not marked by your lecturer. It's marked by someone else in the team. It could be marked by someone in Scotland.
Yeah, that's right. Because
you submit anonymously. You submit under your thing, but
nobody knows
the lecturer has no idea who he's reading.
who is reading.
It goes, and then it's actually, guys, it's even 2 steps.
Yeah.
So it gets marked one by one lecturer.
One lecturer.
And then one by another one.
Another one. That's right.
That's one assignment marked by 2 people.
2 people. Yep.
So honestly, guys, if there's like an issue, if you feel like you're being, again, I don't want to to anyone, but if you feel like you're being discriminated against, if you feel like the lecturer is targeting you in class, or if there's a problem with like the module, like you feel like this doesn't work, you can use your voice, and there will be no repercussions.
That's correct.
And if there are repercussions, you can use your voice once again to be like, well, I feel like now I'm being targeted in class. There never feel like here that you cannot speak, because you can.
You can. That's right.
And
it's
you will
better
not,
to speak rather than staying quiet.
Exactly, because you will not be penalised. And that, I know that's a big thing when people think like, I didn't say anything at the time because I thought he was going to fail me. But then now you have failed because you didn't seek assistance.
At that time.
So guys, always speak up.
Yeah, always just raise your voice.
Raise your voice.
There are ways to raise your voice.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're afraid of speaking directly to the lecturer, you can come speak to me, and I will try to help you figure out like how you can approach it, or I will pass you on to one of our advice workers who can help you. Maybe if you want to like directly speak to the lecturer.
Right.
But yeah, always raise your voice.
That's right.
Always raise your voice.
That's really good, Nathan. You have shared so many great insights about union.
Thank you.
And there are so many things that you have shared. Now, all you need to do is just speak to him if you have any kind of issues. If there is anything you want to bring forward, Nathan is here for you. Right.
And I might not be the person to deal with it, but I will.
But you may definitely.
I'll put you onto the person who will deal with it. And obviously, we have no advice workers in London, but you can come to me first, and then I can refer you to them if you want. If you don't feel confident in writing to them yourself, I can obviously just refer you if you come and have a chat with me. I'll just type. I'll type up what you're saying, and I'll send it off to them. If you don't feel confident in doing that, or if they're not busy, a lot of times I can just call them, and then turn the screen around.
Yeah, just to you.
Just so you can be right, because they will answer me if they can.
Yeah, that's right.
So come, guys, speak to someone. Don't be afraid. I know sometimes the reception staff can be scary as well. But
just speak up.
Just speak up. Just speak up. And like, if you do feel like you're not being treated fairly because of I don't know, if your accent or anything like that, speak up.
Just speak up. Perfect. That's great. Thank you so much, Nathan.
Thank you
it was
for having
a pleasure
me.
talking to you, and it was really good having this interaction.
Thank you.
And I believe it will help so many students
I hope so.
to know much more about the union, right?
Yeah.
That there is something that they need to take benefit of. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
Thank
Nathan.
you.
It was a pleasure. Great.